This video is for those of you who are going to be heading to the airport for the first time, or maybe this will be your first time in a long time. In either case, you might be feeling stressed or anxious about going to the airport, and maybe even some jitters if this is going to be your first time flying in an airplane. So in this video, I'm going to help relieve some of the stress and anxiety for you by walking you through the process of what to do from the time you book your airline ticket to the time you land at your destination. Let's go.
Dream vacations start here.
Hey, what's up? My name is Ben. If you're new here, I create videos that help you in planning for your next vacation. So if you find this video helpful, give it a like and consider subscribing. So let's get into it. I'm actually going to break this video into 4 parts. The first part is what to do before you head to the airport. The second part is what to do when you arrive at the airport. The third part is how to get through TSA security. And the fourth and last part is what to do for connecting flights and when you reach your final destination. So let's start with part number 1. What to do before you head to the airport. I'm assuming at this point you've already bought your airline ticket and are wondering what to do next. So once you bought your airline ticket, a good way to stay up to date with any changes that should occur with your flight is to sign up to receive notifications from the airline. Now you can either choose to receive those by email or text. I prefer text because they come up right away on my phone, and it's a good way to keep up to date with any day of changes that may occur, like delays, gate changes, and even cancellations. And I can easily miss those notifications if they were just sent to my email. To receive notifications, you would just go to the website of the airline you booked with and enter your name and confirmation code. Then you'll see an option to enter your phone number or email to receive notifications. While you're in your reservation, depending on what airline and class of ticket you booked, you can go ahead and choose your seats on the plane if you haven't done so already. The next step would be to determine what kind of baggage you're going to be bringing. Now, there are 3 types of baggage you're allowed to bring. The first type of baggage is what's called a carry-on bag. This would be a small suitcase that you would take onto the plane with you, and it has to be small enough to fit in the overhead storage compartment on the airplane. There is a size limit for the carry-on bag, and that would be 9 inches by 14 inches by 22 inches, which would also include the handles and wheels. If you don't have a carry-on bag, I'll link to some options in the video description below that fit the carry-on bag dimensions, so check those out if you're interested. The next bag is what's called a personal item bag. This could be a purse or backpack. There's not a size limit for a personal item bag, but it does need to be able to fit under the seat in front of you on the airplane. I use this laptop backpack when I travel. It comfortably fits under the seat in front of me with no issues. I probably wouldn't go too much bigger than this as you start running into fit issues and even comfort level. But just note that for both the carry-on and personal item bag, you're only allowed 1 each per person. So then anything larger than a carry-on bag would be, by default, a checked bag. A checked bag simply means that your luggage is too big to fit in the overhead compartments of the plane and has to be stored under the plane where it has a dedicated area for storing luggage. I'll cover more on this in the next section, but just note if you decide to check a bag, you're probably going to have to pay a fee to do so. Most likely $35 for the first bag and $50 for a second bag, unless you're flying Southwest Airlines, in which case they do not charge for checked bags. Also, make sure you check on the airline's website to see what their weight and size limitations are for each checked bag. Most airlines have a weight limit of 50 pounds per bag. As far as what you're allowed to pack in either your checked or carry-on bag, you can check out another video I did that goes into detail about what you're allowed to pack in each bag. You can find that video in the show notes called TSA Rules, Your Top 25 Airport Security Questions Answered. So once you have packed for your trip, within 24 hours of your flight leaving, you have the option to check in for your flight online or through the airline's app. The benefit of doing this is that if you're only taking a carry-on and maybe a personal item with you, you can actually skip going to the airline's counter when you first get to the airport, and instead you can head straight to the security lines. This will save you some time as some airline check-in counters can be rather long. If you're flying Southwest Airlines, it's best to check in right at the 24-hour mark because it will determine your place in line for boarding, as Southwest does not do assigned seats. Checking in is also how you get your boarding pass to be able to get through security and also on your flight. You can also choose to check in at the airport, and I'll cover that process in the next section. So if you have decided to check in online and now have received your boarding pass, the next thing you need to do is make sure you have the proper documentation before you head to the airport. If you're traveling within the US, all you'll need is your driver's license. However, beginning on May 3rd, 2023, your driver's license will need to be Real ID compliant in order to fly. What is Real ID? Real ID is a law that was passed requiring all state driver's licenses to meet certain security standards. So, if your license is up for renewal soon, it might make sense for you to get a Real ID compliant license so you can continue to fly domestically past the May 3rd, 2023 deadline. To see if your driver's license is Real ID compliant, check for a star at the top of your license. If you don't have a driver's license, I'll list some other IDs that you can use listed in the video description of this video. If you're traveling internationally, all you'll need is your passport to get through security. And make sure your passport is not set to expire within 6 months, as most countries will not allow you to enter the country if that is the case. Also check the requirements for the country you're going to make sure you don't need to be vaccinated or tested to be able to enter. Once you have completed these steps, you're now ready to head to the airport. Moving on to part number 2, what to do once you arrive at the airport. Now, if this is going to be your first time ever at an airport, I will warn you, it can be a little chaotic. The first time you enter the airport, you're probably going to see a swarm of people everywhere, moving every which direction, and you might start to feel overwhelmed. But don't worry, I'm going to walk you through the process of what to do. I would recommend getting to the airport at least 2 hours before your flight if you're going domestic, and 3 hours if you're flying international. If you don't need to check a bag and have already checked in for your flight and received your boarding pass, then you can actually skip ahead to the next section of this video, which is how to go through airport security. You can hover over the scroll bar to see what the next section begins, or you can find the timestamp for it located at the bottom of the video description. If you're checking any bags, the first thing you want to do is find the airline you're flying with at the departures and ticketing area, which is usually found on the second floor of the airport. Once you find your airline, you have 2 options. You can use a kiosk to check your bags, print your boarding passes, and check in for your flight if you need to. Or you can walk up to the counter to accomplish these tasks with one of the airline agents. If you're going to be using a kiosk, you'll need to enter either your confirmation number or swipe the credit card you used to book your flight to be able to pull up your reservation on the screen. Once here, you can choose how many bags you want to check and then pay the fee if required. Once you have paid, you'll be able to print your bag tags and secure them to your checked bags. Just double check that the airport listed on the bag tag is your final destination. Then you'll just have to walk up your bags to the airline counter where one of the airline agents will weigh your bag and then place them on the belt to be loaded onto the plane. If you're flying internationally, you'll most likely not be able to use the kiosk and will have to see one of the airline agents so they can check your passport and other requirements needed to enter the country you're going to. Once that is completed, check your boarding pass to see which terminal you need to go to. Usually this is a letter or number followed by the gate number. So for this example, the terminal would be A and the gate is 2. Depending on the airport, there could be multiple different terminals or just 1 or 2. Most likely the terminal you need to go to is close by the airline check-in area you were just at, so just look for the signs directing you to the correct terminal. You will notice there are signs everywhere in the airport, so you should be able to navigate through the airport without getting lost. So here we are at part 3, how to go through security. Once you find the terminal, this is a time where you'll now have to go through TSA security screening. Here you may see 2 or 3 different types of lines. One for general screening, one for first class and frequent flyer programs with the airline, and one for TSA PreCheck, which is a program you can join that allows you to get through security a lot quicker. Check out the show notes if you want more information on that, but for you, you'll most likely need to enter the general screening lines, which will likely be the longest lines. Once in line, you'll want to make sure you have your boarding pass and either your driver's license or passport in hand when you reach the TSA agent. If your boarding pass is on your phone, there will be a place for you to lay down your phone to be scanned. The TSA agent will look over your ID and then will allow you to enter the screening area. Here's where things could get confusing, but I'm going to walk you through this process step by step. The first step is you're not going to need your ID again, so you can actually tuck that away somewhere. And as far as your boarding pass, you will need that again, but not until it's time to board the plane. So what I usually do is store them in my carry-on or personal item bag. The next step is you're going to want to grab 1 or 2 bins to put your things in. Here are the things that need to go in the bins. Your shoes, and it helps to have slip-on shoes so you can get them on and off easily. Your quart-sized bag of liquids and gels, belts, coats and jackets, watches, and any electronic devices larger than a cell phone. So if you have a laptop or a tablet, those will need to be taken out of their cases and placed in the bins. For everything else like wallets, purses, cell phone, jewelry, coin chains, keep those items in your carry-on or personal item bag. Then you'll need to place your bags and the bins on the belt to be x-rayed. If you feel uncomfortable about leaving your wallet or ID in your bag, you can actually hold those in your hand as you get screened. And once you have everything loaded in the bins and place your bags on the belt, you'll now have to be body scanned. There's a full body scanner that is used to screen you, but if you feel uncomfortable with that, you can opt out of it, but then you would be subject to a full hand pat down by a TSA agent. Once you have completed the body scan, you're now free to go and retrieve your bags and items out of the bins, and then after that, you'll be free to head to the gate. Once you find your gate, you can now relax until it's time to start the boarding process, which usually begins 30 minutes before departure. There will be plenty of shops and food options that you can check out, and anything you buy in the secured area, including food and drinks, can be brought onto the plane. I'll just be careful about certain foods as they can smell up a plane quickly. Once in the waiting area of your gate, be sure to listen for announcements about your flight, including any possible delays or gate changes, and for the start of the boarding process. When the boarding process starts, be sure to have your boarding pass ready and be sure to look at the boarding pass to see what your boarding group and assigned seat number are, and then listen for the gate agent to call your group boarding number. Once your group is called, walk up to the gate agent and present your boarding pass, and once it's been scanned, you are free to board the plane. Once on the plane, find your seat number unless you're flying Southwest Airlines, in which case you can choose whichever seat you want. You can then place your carry-on bag in one of the overhead bins, and once everyone is loaded, the plane will push back from the gate. From here, the flight attendants will go over the safety briefing for the flight and prepare the flight for takeoff. One tip I have for you is that you're going to experience pressure changes while on the flight, especially when the airplane is descending. Yawning helps, as well as chewing some gum. You can also bring an empty water bottle that you can fill up once past security that'll help keep your ears from plugging up. That brings us to the last part, what to do for connecting flights and when arriving at your final destination. If you end up having a connecting flight before heading to your final destination, the good news is you won't have to go through another security screening. All you need to do is check your notifications to verify what gate you need to go to next, as gates do frequently change. You can also check the departures board, which are located throughout the airport, to verify the next gate assignment for your next flight. Depending on how close you booked your connecting flight, you'll probably have time to grab something to eat or drink and walk around a bit. Just make sure you're back at the gate 30 minutes before departure to start the boarding process. Then once the plane has arrived at your destination and you've gotten off the plane, your next step is to retrieve your bags. Just look for the signs that say baggage claim and head that way. Once in the baggage claim area, you'll see multiple conveyor belt carousels, and each one should have a number on it. Sometimes the flight attendants will announce which baggage carousel number you can find your baggage on if they know. Otherwise, there's usually a baggage claim board. You can go find out which carousel number your bag will be on. All you have to do is look for the flight number on the board, and next to it, it will have the carousel number on it. Once you have your bags, you can head to the ground transportation area, where you'll find designated areas for shuttles, taxis, and Uber and Lyft pickups. If you're renting a car, you'll just follow the rental car signs leading you to the rental area. And that will complete your trip. If you have any questions about anything I covered in this video, feel free to leave me a comment. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And be sure to check out all the free resources down in the video description that I put together for you that'll go deeper in some of the things I talked about, as well as give you the tools and information you need to have a successful trip. Make sure to give this video a like if this video was helpful to you, and consider subscribing to see more of these type of videos. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I can't wait to see you in a future video.